and on to the turn one banking behind the pace car of New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And we get set to go. We'll find them a little faster laps than we saw with the NASCAR Pinty Series. K&N cars have been a part of the action here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway for many, many years. A lot of history here for the K&N Series. They've had a few names over the years, but when you go all the way back to the North Series, and the very first race won by Tommy Ellis back in July of 1990. Mike McLaughlin won the second race in September of 1990. And you look at some of those names that have competed and won in this division here at New Hampshire, like Kenny Wallace and Ricky Craven, and some of the more local guys, of course, like Kelly Moore and Chad Little. Ted Christopher, of course, a winner several times in the K&N Pro Series. Brad Layton, Tom Carey, drivers like Andy Santier, Mike Olson, even Eddie McDonald, a winner in this K&N Pro Series here at New Hampshire, who still competes throughout the New England racetracks. Joey Logano, a two-time winner in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series here at New Hampshire, as was Corey LaJoie, Todd Gilliland, Jesse Little, Kyle Larson, and more. Tyler Ankrum, the most recent winner back in July. And Andy, you kind of alluded to the fact that with a decent finish here today, or at least finishing here today, he can wrap up the championship.
Yeah, no question about it. And our pole sitter there in that number one car, Derek Kraus, actually sits fourth in the point standings in the NASCAR K&N West Series. Derek Kraus flying across the country, putting together a deal with Bill McAnally, his car owner, who helped him get this ride in one of David Gilliland's cars at DGR Crosley Racing Team. As Bill McAnally, the owner of a number of Napa stores out on the West Coast, also the owner of Bill McAnally Racing that fields the cars that Derek Kraus drives on the West Coast, put this deal together with David Gilliland to get Kraus a little experience here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway today.
Caution lights are extinguished around the racetrack, and they're off top of the Toyota pace car, indicating we'll go green flag racing next time by for 125 laps. The K&N Pro Series, of course, we're talking about the history of this series here at New Hampshire. They've run the most races out of all of the touring series here at New Hampshire, way back to the very beginning, as we pointed out, all the way back to that very first race in 1990, July of 1990, for the K&N Pro Series here. We talked about some of the winners, some of those Cup stars that have won here: Corey LaJoie, William Byron, Kyle Larson, Matt DiBenedetto, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., a two-time winner in the K&N Pro Series here at New Hampshire, and his father, Martin Truex Sr., winning in 1994. Some more history to be made today as they make their way through the third and fourth turn. The pace car is off, and they all have their eyes on the starters stand for the green flag, which is in the air, and they are underway. A side-by-side race in the front row all the way down to turn one.
Brandon McReynolds in that 74 car did not come up to speed. Heavy pressure from behind from Colin Garrett. Now looks like Garrett's going to drop to the ins. No, that's the 54 car as they jostle for position down the back straightaway. The 54 car of Tyler Dimple getting very aggressive, made it 3 wide off turn number 2. Everybody able to get away, and we are underway.
Yeah, but the way they were driving down out of turn 2 and on the backstretch, you'd think it was a 5-lap race. Everybody jockeying for position as they were, but it's 125, and they've got a little ways to sort this one out. But again, they'd like to get up front, ride up front early on in here, and a good battle for the third spot going on right now as they head down the backstretch. Brandon McReynolds on the inside, and the number 17 of Tyler Ankrum up on the outside. They're side by side for third spot.
Brandon McReynolds running in the top 10 in point standings despite running a limited schedule. Works his way around the point leader Ankrum. He'll take over the third position. As out in front, Krause and Spencer Davis trying to check out. McReynolds trying to put an end to that as he's going to try to run those guys down. Ankrum in the 4th position and running in 5th now. That is Ruben Garcia Jr. in that 6th car.
The leaders have strung it out as they head out of turn 4 and down the front stretch. We've got a side-by-side battle back for the 6th spot. Garcia and the number 40 of Anthony Alfredo dice it out going down into turn 1.
Alfredo on the bottom of the racetrack trying to take over that 5th position, move into the top 5. Garcia on the high side. Those two actually teammates as they make their way to turn at number 3. Alfredo on the bottom and Garcia on the top. In the meantime, Derek Krause trying to check out on this thing as he tried in that 1 car as he leads the way.
Yeah, Krause flexing some muscle there in the Napa colors down into turn 1. Davis continues to run 2nd. McReynolds is 3rd. Ankrum 4th. Garcia has solved that battle, or did for a moment anyway, but again, dicing it out with Anthony Alfredo on the backstretch. Garcia did have the advantage down into turn 1, but Alfredo comes right back on the bottom down into turn 3.
Quite a battle there at the back of the top 5. Anthony Alfredo in the Robert Huffman-owned Zico Building Systems. Car number 40 on the outside. Car number 6, that is Ruben Garcia Jr. in the Max Siegel Incorporated entry. As they duke it out, now it looks like Alfredo going to take over that 5th position. Now Brandon McReynolds makes his way to the inside on Spencer Davis. McReynolds in the 74. Davis in that orange 82 on the outside. They battle it out for 2nd.
Yeah, that's the 2nd place battle, and they are basically rubbing on each other through that 3rd and 4th turn. Davis by a nose at the stripe, but McReynolds in the IGA car hanging tough down into turn 1. That side-by-side battle has allowed Krause to really check out. He's up over a 2-second lead now as he heads down the backstretch. McReynolds has made the pass to 2nd. Davis in 3rd. Ankrum is 4th. And now Alfredo crawling into the mix there in the number 40. They're pretty much nose to tail from 2nd on back.
Tyler Dipple trying to pick up a position now. Dipple in that 54 car works to the inside on Colin Garrett in the 18. Looks like he is going to pick up a spot. Derek Krause out in front trying to run away and hide. He has got a sizable gap over Brandon McReynolds here in the early going. Keep in mind, we race to lap number 40. That's when we will see the first competition caution. Spencer Davis runs in 2nd. Battle for 3rd now. Alfredo to the inside of Ankrum. Ankrum is the points leader, trying to sew this thing up right here and have the points battle solidly going his way, but he is feeling the heat from Alfredo on the inside as they work their way down the back straightaway.
Alfredo with a move down on the bottom. They race side by side. Ankrum tries to come back with a little bit of an edge in the middle of the turn, and up in that higher groove, he's got the momentum and will lead him across the stripe, but not by much.
These young drivers being awfully aggressive here in the early going of this thing. Up the hill they both go. Ankrum way up out of the good asphalt, and he is going to lose a couple of spots. Alfredo on the bottom of the racetrack ran Ankrum way up high, and Ankrum is going to pay the price. Alfredo will settle into that 4th position now, as behind them it's car number 6. That's Ruben Garcia Jr. up into 5th.
Yes, and look at Dipple and the 98 car, Riley Herbst. They're bouncing off of each other through the 4th turn, as again, that's all a result of what went on when they kind of checked up when both Alfredo and Ankrum went up the racetrack. Looked like Alfredo just got in there a little too hard, and he almost used Ankrum to keep himself from spinning the car out there. That's how close it was.
This division has become a division of primarily young drivers, and a lot of drivers with very little experience out there, and it is showing a bit here in the early going. It'll settle down as this race progresses, but right now very, very aggressive in the early part of this thing as Derek Krause has absolutely checked out. Brandon McReynolds runs 2nd. Spencer Davis is 3rd. Alfredo is 4th. Garcia is the rounding out the top 5 as they run right now.
Yeah, that Kraus car, that number 1, sat on the pole here in July and did it again this weekend, and really shown some strength here in the early going. He has opened that lead up to over 3 seconds, similar to what we saw in the Pinty Series race earlier. Leader able to get check out and drive away from everybody else, and we've got more of a distance to go in this one, an additional 25 laps on top of what the Pinty Series just ran. So we're only 13 laps into the Apple Barrel 125. Another fall New England theme to this race, and they've only got 13 laps, as we said, into it, and that pretty good battle going on continues to be from the 5th spot on back.
And still to come, 250 laps for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. Lots and lots of money on the line, not only in the purse, but lap money as well, as that is coming up after this K&N East Series race. But right now, Derek Kraus is showing the way. Things going all his own way as he pilots that Napa number 1 out of the David Gilliland Racing Stables, way out in front. Brandon McReynolds in second. Spencer Davis runs in third as points leader Tyler Ankrum now tries to pick up a spot in that 17 car. He works to the inside of Ruben Garcia as they work their way off of turn number 4 onto the front straightaway.
Yeah, Ankrum trying to hold his ground there on the inside of Garcia. That's a pretty good race. So they've got a couple more cars, Hertz right behind him, and of course the 54 of Tyler Dipple, all waiting for something to open there. Meanwhile, a battle on the backstretch between the 40 of Anthony Alfredo and Spencer Davis. Alfredo had been pestering him the last couple of laps and finally went to make that move out of turn 2, pulled up alongside him and able to make the pass. Alfredo has been making a march to the front since the drop of the green flag, and he picks up yet another position up to the 3rd spot in the number 40 car. So he is showing some speed here too, as he is passed and now pulls away from Davis, but it's still pretty tight from 5th on back.
Further back, a good little battle going on between Ronnie Bassett Jr. Actually, it's Chase Cabri in the 4 car. Chase Cabri in the 4 car and Sam Mayer in the 12 car. That battle has settled down now, but those two going at it hot and heavy for a number of laps.
Well, we got some bumping and running going on up in front of them there, or bumping and rubbing anyway, as we've got a change of positions. Ruben Garcia really kind of the pinball in the machine up there as he was duking it out with Riley Herbst, and now with Tyler Dipple, as those guys were leaning on each other coming down the front stretch just a lap ago. Herbst came out on top of that one and gives chase to Ankrum for that position. Now Dipple and Ruben Garcia dice it out 1 spot behind him.
This race has been very, very aggressive here in the early going. These youngsters really duking it out, pushing, shoving, bumping, running, doing a little leaning. And it shows as the donuts starting to show up on the sides of these race cars. They're going to need to settle down and show some patience here if they're going to make it to the end. This is a long race, 125 laps, couple of opportunities to come down pit road and make adjustments. So these youngsters need to figure out some patience and make it to lap 40 in that first set of pit stop.
Yeah, we've got 19 complete out of the 125, and the lead stays at over 3 seconds for Derek Kraus over Brandon McReynolds, who runs in a comfortable 2nd spot. Alfredo in 3rd all by himself, a comfortable 4th for Spencer Davis, and then Tyler Ankrum in the 17, starting to feel some heat from Riley Herbst in the number 98.
Derek Kraus continues to show the way, got out in front early, was pressured for the first couple of laps, but then able to just drive away from the remainder of the field. Gap is about 3 1/3 seconds, 3.3 seconds for Derek Kraus. As he is comfortably out in front. This young man from the West Coast sits 4th in K&N Pro Series West point standings in the Bill McAnally Racing entry. Here driving for David Gilliland, the DGR Crosby team. Continues to flat out dominant. Brandon McReynolds, the son of Larry McReynolds, driving that 74 car. That team ran a number of races with the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and they also ran at Riverhead Speedway on a regular basis. The Visconti Motorsports team, with that IGA sponsorship, decided to make the move in conjunction with Team into the NASCAR K&N East Series. Picked up Brandon McReynolds to do the driving. They have not run all the races, but run a number of the races. Car number 40 in third, that's Anthony Alfredo. That is the Mark McFarland-owned team. Mark McFarland, a former driver in the Xfinity Series. Robert Huffman, the crew chief on that team. Zico Building Systems entry. In the fourth position, Spencer Davis in the 82, another team formerly from the modified ranks. That is the Danny Watts Jr. owned team. Orton Avenue Materials on the side of that car with Jerry Babb as the crew chief. Babb, a longtime competitor at the Beach Ridge Motor Speedway, and has worked down south for several of the teams competing on the Monster. Oh, caution is out. Caution is out now, as we have one car around over between turns 1 and 2. So caution flies for the first time here in the Apple Barrel 125 for the NASCAR K&N East Series. So a one-car incident over between turns 1 and 2 around. Hard to tell if he got into anything down there. And that will close the field up on the back of Derek Kraus in car number 1. Brandon Reynolds in second. Third is Anthony Alfredo. Fourth, Spencer Davis. And fifth, Tyler Ankrum, the points leader, rounding out the top 5. Behind Ankrum in the 6th position, that is the 98 machine. That is Riley Herbst in another one of the David Gilliland-owned machines. The 54 is Tyler Dipple. The 18 car, that is Colin Garrett in the Sam Hunt-owned machine, the Propel GPS machine. 9th is Dylan Bassett in the 44, and Chase Cabry rounds out the top 10 in the 4 car. Further back, Sam Mayer runs 11th. Ryan Vargas is 12th. Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 04 is 13th. Tristan Van Wieringen is 14th. And Thomas Fernando rounds out the top 15, as it is the 6 car of Ruben Garcia Jr., one of Max Siegel's cars, the Special Smiles Pediatric Dentistry machine. That has turned around over between turns 1 and 2. Looks like a right rear flat on that machine. Not really sure whether that was the cause or the result of that spin. And we are under caution here at lap 25 for the first time here in this Apple Barrel 125. Keep in mind, coming up next, it is the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, the Musket 250. 250 laps of action for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. Lap number 26 goes up on the board here under caution.
Of course, as we get ready for this modified portion of our weekend coming up, big day for Chase Dowling, and he's standing by with Joe Koss.
Teams getting ready to go here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Garage area for the Musket 250. Yesterday afternoon, Chase Dowling earned the pole position for the event. Chase, you're going to start out front, but 250 laps is a long way, an unprecedented distance here on the Whelen Modified Tour at New Hampshire. How do you approach the Musket 250 today?
Just drink a lot of power, right, like we're doing now. But yeah, it's going to be a long race, 250 laps for the tour guys here. It's the longest race we've ever done, so it's going to be interesting. We don't really have a ton of plans for this race, and we're just going to go out there and do our thing and try to be up front.
There's that $100 a lap bonus money that's offered to the guy who's out front every time they cross the granite stripe here at New Hampshire. How important is that for you and the race team, or is that an incentive that you want to go after, or do you want to hang back and be there at the end of 250 laps?
I think we're going to go for it. I mean, I think every team's out here to win, and they want to be up front and leading. So I think it's going to be a good race for up front in the battles, and hopefully we can be up there and get some lap money.
That's Chase Dowling. He's on the pole position for today's Musket 250 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. You go back to July, he came 4 thousandths of a second away from getting his first career NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour victory. He came up just a bit shy to Bobby Santos in the month of July, and he's on the pole here today to try to see if he can capture victory. There's a lot of strategies when we get to the Musket 250. We talk about a $100 a lap bonus for the race leader. Well, some have that on the mind. Others have told me, and we'll hear more about this as the afternoon goes on, that they want to hang back, conserve their equipment, and make it to lap 250, because this will be an endurance race, and there's a lot of strategies to play out here this afternoon.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, Chase Dowling already in the history books by scoring the pole position on the highest paying, longest distance race for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, and he'd like to etch his name in that book a couple of more times. Obviously, you can hear the excitement in his voice when Joe was just talking to him. That's what's going to be up next after the running of the Apple Barrel 125, where we're 27 laps into it, and a little bit of a break here.
So the car of Ruben Garcia Jr. cleared off of the racetrack. Will be pulled back to the garage area now as the field bunches up behind the pace car, 2 by 2. Ready to get back underway. Derek Kraus will lead them back to the green. To his right shoulder will be Brandon McReynolds in that 74 car.
Before we get back to the green flag, let's go to Joe again quickly.
Certainly a tip of the cap to that 74 Visconti Motorsports team. This is one of the teams in the K&N Pro Series East that is an independent team. They do all of the work in-house. You look at some of the teams like the DJR Crosley team, the Tyler Ankrum team that leads the way in the championship standings. Well, they've got 4 cars in the field here today, and this independent team, the 74, competing with all the big teams, and Brandon McReynolds, certainly a very talented driver, a talented spotter. Of course, he comes from a racing pedigree. His father, Larry McReynolds, a NASCAR crew chief, very, very successful there. You see him on Fox as part of the broadcast there as an analyst for Fox Sports. And so they are in the racing business top to bottom, but Brandon McReynolds putting together a very strong run here today in the second spot as we get set to go back under green.
As they make their way out of turn 4, green flag is in the air, and we are back to green flag racing. 3 cars break away going down into turn 1. Our leader Kraus, the aforementioned McReynolds, and Spencer Davis.
Spencer Davis now feeling the heat from Riley Herbst. Herbst up the inside in that red number 98. That's another of the David Gilliland cars. Spencer Davis battles back on the outside. That's the battle for third. Right behind them, the battle for third spot, Anthony Alfredo on the inside, and on the outside, Colin Garrett in the 18.
Yeah, they are leaning on each other as they make their way out of turn 4. Garrett hanging tough on the outside. Alfredo was on a tear before the caution flag, and we'll see if he can make that pass down on the bottom. That is a good race for all of those guys, as now he has cleared the 18 as they're going to go 3 wide. Look at Tyler Dipple all the way down to the bottom going into turn 3.
Tyler Dipple on the bottom, in the middle. Chase Cabri in the 4 car. Colin Garrett going to lose a couple of spots there in the 18, but out in front, check out Brandon McReynolds as he runs away and hides.
Yeah, a little different than before we had that caution flag. He's able to open up a very comfortable lead early on as we got back to the green flag. Leaves Kraus all by himself in second. Herbst with a good run in the 3rd spot. Then Spencer Davis and Anthony Alfredo. Things are quieting down amongst the top 5 or 7 cars as they race out of turn number 4. We've got plenty of traffic behind them.
Tyler Dipple in 6 by himself, but then it's that battle between the 18 of Colin Garrett and on the outside, Chase Cabri in the 4 car, the Honda Generators machine. Those two duking it out hot and heavy. Cabri able to get out in front, but now Garrett going to battle back on the inside in that 18 car. Behind them, more heavy racing going on. The 44 machine, that is Dylan Bassett. He is getting aggressive. Ryan Vargas in the 2 car goes to work on Colin Garrett. Vargas in that 2 car down on the inside, getting very aggressive here as we click off lap number 33.
Yes, and Tyler Ankrum getting anxious, trying to make a move back up to the front in that number 17, coming under attack as they head out of turn 2. Boy, that is tight back there as they race down the backstretch.
Sam Mayer, the youngster in the number 12. That is the black and yellow Menards machine. Mayer, just a youngster in that car, but doing a nice job here. He has gotten a lot of experience here in 2018 in various series, in various styles of stock car, as he progresses up the ranks here in NASCAR.
Dylan Bassett thought about taking it 3 wide and does again, and he'll take that chance way down deep through the first and second turn and sweeps his way underneath them out of turn 2, picks up 2 spots in 1, and they're 3 wide again going into 3.
Tyler Ankrum, the points leader, thinks better of it, says, oh, hang on a second. He has got a points lead to protect, being very, very careful in that 17 car, backed out of a 3 wide situation that he did not want to be in. Now he's going to regroup and try to pick up some spots on the outside, starting with Sam Mayer. Yeah,
wisely decided not to be the meat in the sandwich and backed out going into turn 3. That is tight when you get into that turn and you're doing it 3 wide. So meanwhile, up front, continuing to spread it out a little bit, McReynolds with a comfortable lead in that number 74 crosses the stripe. Kraus several car lengths back behind him. Then Herbst and Anthony Alfredo with a good run too. They are pretty much nose to tail through that first and second turn.
Brandon McReynolds continues to show the way. Had opened up a pretty healthy gap, but here comes Derek Kraus. Kraus in that number 1 machine, the Napa car, starting to run McReynolds down. Riley Herbst in the 98 behind them, starting to feel the heat from Anthony Alfredo. That is the battle for the 3rd spot. Then Tyler Dipple rounds out the top 5 all by himself in that 54 car, the tie car machine. Spencer Davis runs in 6th. Chase Cabri in the 7th spot. Looks like it's Dylan Bassett in the 44 up into 8th now. Nice run going for him. Ryan Vargas in 9th, and 10th is the 18 machine of Colin Garrett.
We'll check the distance between first and second this time as they work their way out of turn 4 and down across the stripe. McReynolds is out in front and maintains that half a second lead, just over half a second as a matter of fact, but Kraus keeps him in sight, keeping them honest, if you will, as they head down the backstretch. Meanwhile, the same type of battle going on for the 3rd spot. Herbst in the 98 and Alfredo in the number 40. Dipple all by himself in the number 54. So things have quieted down, at least for the moment. This time by, they'll complete 39 of 125 laps.
And that will put us 1 lap away from that competition caution here at lap 40. Teams allowed to come down pit road, perform normal pit stop operations on these machines, and get them back out. We'll do that at lap 40 and lap 80. As Brandon McReynolds going to try to lead him back around and hold on to that top spot all the way through the competition caution coming up here in just a few seconds.
Well, Kraus has nipped into that lead by McReynolds as he is starting to close on him, picking up about a quarter to a half a car length with every lap, and hoping to get up there and get a bumper down underneath McReynolds and get the lead back. They race into turn 3. They get about a half a straightaway over the 3rd place runner in the 98. And here's that caution flag, that competition caution on the field right now.
So the yellow flag flies here for the 2nd time in the Apple Barrel 125. This time it is a competition caution. As the field comes across the stripe, they'll gather up behind the Toyota pace car and come down pit road, where the teams will be able to make adjustments and do what they need to do to get their cars back into competition and back up to speed, and hopefully challenge those front 2 who have pretty well dominated the first 40 laps of this thing. Chase Cabri up until the first caution, absolutely dominant, had checked out at a huge lead on the rest of the field. Got bunched back up. Brandon McReynolds able to get out in front after that caution. Got out to a healthy lead, but Kraus was cutting back into that as this competition caution fell. Riley Herbst and Anthony Alfredo engaged in a pretty good little battle there for the 3rd spot, and Tyler Dipple rounding out the top 5.
Pit road is open, and we'll see the field, some of the field, at least from 3rd spot on back, make their way down onto pit road.
So teams not required to pit here at this caution, but certainly do have the opportunity.
And they have to hold off on their service until they get the word from the NASCAR officials that are on pit road. Once all the cars have taken their place, then they will be allowed to perform normal service on these cars before they send them on back.
You see the NASCAR officials out there on pit road.
Let's go to Joe Koss on pit road.
Pete, several of the teams taking the opportunity now under this 5-minute break here just past lap 40 in the Apple Barrel 125 to come down and get some service for their teams. Many teams taking tires here at this juncture. They've got one set of tires, Goodyear racing tires, that they can use on these race cars throughout the duration of today's event. So some taking it now, some electing to wait a little bit. Now the rules look like this. You could change tires first or second, but you can't put tires and fuel from a safety perspective in the cars at the same time. So they've got plenty of time. In the case of Tyler Ankrum, they've got the hood up on that machine. That's so they can make some adjustments to the suspension on the right front of that automobile and get the handle a little bit better. Remember when we were here in July, he led 70 laps on his way to victory and made it look easy. Today, the handling on the car, not as good, but you've got to look at the conditions in the racetrack today. It's a little bit warmer. Yesterday, it was overcast during practice and into the day for qualifying. Today, the sun's starting to beat on the racetrack, and certainly that impacts how these cars handle, especially after just having a 100-lap event for the NASCAR Penny Series. So directly behind him, Riley Herbst in the number 98 is on pit lane as well. They'll put 4 new Goodyear tires on that machine and try to get some fuel in his race car. It is interesting, though, that Andy, as you had mentioned, the 74 car, Brandon McReynolds electing to stay out on track. They were considering coming down and getting their tires at this point in time and taking advantage of this 5-minute break. They felt that their car was really strong on the long run, so getting tires here early in the event would set them up for success later on, but they're going to have to play a different strategy now when we get into that second break somewhere around lap 80.
Well, we'll see how this plays out. Again, they'll have another competition caution and a chance for service on these cars, but during this break, just past the 40-lap mark of the Apple Barrel 125, see how it plays out for the guys who elected to come to pit road and get it done at this point. Let's, again, take a look at what's coming up after this event. The running of the Musket 250 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And one of those looking to make history today is Eric Goodale, and he is with Joe Koss.
Many of the drivers are just standing along pit lane. Pete just taking in some of the action here for the K&N Pro Series. Eric Goodale is one of them, the man who finished 5th here in July. But Eric, we know it's 250 laps here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, but boy, after an engine problem in qualifying, you guys have your work cut out for you. You're coming from the 24th position here today. How does that impact your strategy when you try to get this race underway?
Yeah, it definitely changes it up a little bit, but you know, the good thing is, you know, what we don't have the track position we want, so if we need to come in early and make an adjustment, we can do so without costing ourselves too much track position loss. So just take it as it comes. You know, we got a lot of cars to pass here today, so we'll take it one lap at a time.
For a while, this New Hampshire Motor Speedway was pretty mean to you, and you had some bad luck. You spent more time in the infield care center here for a while than you did behind the wheel of your race car, but you turned that around, and all of a sudden your race car is really one of the top contenders that will run in the top 5 all day long. What was the big difference in the change in your race program to turn it around here at the Magic Mile?
I mean, there were certainly some setup things that happened, but I mean, most of all, just confidence between me and my team. You know, my pit crew has been really stellar this year on pit road and giving me good track position. So, you know, that gives me a lot more confidence as a driver and just, you know, to forget what happened in the past and just take each race as a new one. So we'll see what happens here today. We're excited, and I got one of the best pit crews on here on pit road. So we'll be looking to pick up spots on the track and on pit road.
That's Eric Goodale. He could use that 24th place starting position to his advantage to try a different strategy than some of the other competitors. He'll look to come up through the field as a multi-time winner in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. He's won at his home track at the Riverhead Raceway. He also won the fall final at Stafford Speedway in Connecticut just 1 year ago. And this team was working late last night, Andy and Pete. They had to replace the engine after they went out for qualifying, and the car just laid over, which is why they'll start 24th today. But that's no indication of how quick this car was here yesterday.
Well, then we'll put a particular eye on Eric Goodale when the green flag drops on the Musket 250 a little bit later on in the program today, and talk about working late. We'll be doing that too because we've got a big post-race party going on in the infield You see there down on the fan zone, which is open now, and you can also get down there after the races as well. Right now you can access it by going through the cool tunnel that goes underneath the racetrack over there in turn 2. And I know, Andy, you've been eyeing that tilt-a-whirl down there, so you can't wait to get down the infield when this thing is over.
Yeah, not so much at my age. I don't really have the stomach for that anymore. There was a time where that would have been my target, but not so much anymore. K&N filters, the original performance air filter of NASCAR. This high-flow air filter technology was invented by K&N and is designed to improve horsepower. A K&N factory replacement air filter can last 10 years or 1,000,000 miles. That's because they are a washable, reusable air filter that can last for the life of your car under normal highway driving conditions. K&N air filters are handcrafted in the USA and can be found in millions of cars worldwide. K&N, superior airflow, superior performance.
Well, the lights are off on the pace car, indicating we'll go back to green flag racing this next time by as they bring them slowly down the backstretch for the restart after our competition caution. Brandon McReynolds, our leader, will restart on the outside of the front row. Derek Kraus, our pole sitter and early leader of this event. As we mentioned, he was also the pole sitter here in July. So they pretty much have this racetrack figured out right now. He needs to figure out how to get back to the lead as he brings that number 1 Napa car out of turn number 4 with the 74 IGA car right alongside. Pace car is off back down onto pit road, and here they come as the green flag goes in the air and McReynolds launches back into the front right at the green flag.
Holy cow, what a jump for Brandon McReynolds as he heads into turn number 1. Big gap there. Looks like Derek Kraus under fire now. Looks like Tyler Dipple on the 54 up on the outside. Also Anthony Alfredo right there behind as those three back it up in the second spot. Kraus on the bottom, Dipple on the high side. Alfredo right there trying to figure out which lane is going to go. Off of turn number 2, looks like Kraus is going to get the advantage.
And a little further back, we're watching Chase Cabaret in that number 4. Boy, he made a move down on the bottom going into turn 3 and past 2 cars. He pulls it right back up behind the 98 of Herbst as they're racing for position. More 3-wide action, dicing it out through the first and second turn. That is pretty wild from about the 6th spot on back. Here comes your leader continuing to open it up with each and every lap. Brandon McReynolds will cross the stripe. Derek Kraus in second. Tyler Dipple is third. Anthony Alfredo is fourth. Spencer Davis is fifth. Then Riley Herbst in that number 98.
Thought maybe the crew chiefs might have had a word with their young drivers here at the break to settle things down a little bit. Not so the case as the front 7 or 8 have broken away, but behind them it is hot and heavy. Sam Mayer has gotten clear. Now Dylan Bassett going to try to get clear of Colin Garrett and see if we can get single file and click off some laps here. It's out in front. Brandon McReynolds on cruise control. Derek Kraus in second. Tyler Dipple trying to run those two down in third.
Looking to see if maybe there was any advantage to taking tires on that stop, but the leader continues to pull away in the number 74. Let's find out a little more from Joe.
Well, we mentioned under that break that we expected to see the 74 car, Brandon McReynolds, come down pit lane, but at the very last moment when they were about to come down pit road, he decided to steer his car back onto the front straightaway and keep it on track. He said, you know what, yesterday in some of those long runs that we did, we mentioned how good they were on the longer runs, that we felt that our car was not going to fall off very much. And that's important because when we have that second competition caution around lap 80, just as it was for this one, when they come down pit lane, they will be able to go back onto the racetrack in the same position that they came on pit road. And what that means is as long as Brandon McReynolds can maintain his track position at the front of the field, he should not have gambled anything away, and he'll have tires that are about 40 laps better than the rest of the field. The only risk with that becomes the fact that these cars, you look at the July race, went 70 laps. Now they've got to go 80 laps for Brandon McReynolds. We haven't had a lot of caution flags so far other than the competition caution and the problems for Ruben Garcia Jr. a bit earlier in the event. So the Visconti team is a bit worried of whether or not the 74 car can make it to the competition caution on fuel. And so that's why they are on pins and needles. So Pete, you used the phrase cruise control. Well, he's going to need cruise control to get the most fuel mileage out of that 74 over the course of the next 30 laps or so.
Well, right now they are large and in charge with that lead out there of over half a second between McReynolds and Kraus as they head down the backstretch. Anthony Alfredo had gotten up on the back bumper of Tyler Dipple a few laps ago in a battle for the third spot, but that's cooled off just a little bit. The Spencer Davis car running all by himself in that number 82. And things have quieted down, as we said, towards the front, and pretty much everybody has settled in.
Drivers realizing that they need to click off some laps here and get through this second stage as we're at lap 50. 30 laps to go here to the next competition caution, which will give them the opportunity to come back down pit road and make further adjustments. And the teams that did not take tires can take more. Right now, everybody's single file, just riding right now. Front two separated by 3 or 4 car lengths now. Brandon Reynolds out in front. Derek Kraus running a slightly lower line than McReynolds, but not able to gain any ground. Then always back to Tyler Dipple and Anthony Alfredo and Spencer Davis, another team that fields modifieds as well. That Danny Watt's own team with car number 82 and Spencer Davis.
Well, we talked about, or we heard Joe tell us about Brandon McReynolds and the fact that that fuel might actually turn out to be a concern, and certainly not in a position to save any at this point because the gap between first and second has closed up a little bit, and Kraus continues to make that march, trying to get in on the back bumper of Brandon McReynolds as we watch him race out of turn 4, and that's a pretty good battle for the lead right now.
Of course, Derek Kraus is in the same boat as Brandon McReynolds. Those two trying to go 80 laps on fuel. So is Kraus getting better fuel mileage than McReynolds or vice versa? Does it make sense for McReynolds to let Kraus go and maybe tuck in and save some fuel behind him? Doesn't seem as though either one of those guys right now is saving much fuel as they battle it out for that top spot. Trying to go 80 laps on fuel here on the K&N Pro Series East Club.
There's plenty of cars out there in the field in the same position, and we'll have to see how that plays out. We've got 54 complete of the 125, the Apple Barrel 125 for the K&N Pro Series here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We saw the NASCAR Pinty Series on just before this, and a dominant win there, and we thought that might be the case with this one too, but that lead has really tightened up as they head out of turn 4. Here's McReynolds feeling the heat now from our pole sitter Derek Kraus as they come across the stripe to complete 55 of 125.
We saw 2 cars pretty well dominate for a long time. Andrew Ranger and Kevin Lacroix dominate that Pinty Series race. We've got the same thing going on here with McReynolds and Kraus. These two clearly the class in the field. If anybody else is going to jump up there and be able to do anything with those two, we're going to have to make some serious adjustments at that lap 80 caution. McReynolds and Kraus just absolutely picking them up, putting down, clicking off the laps here. As we've got one off the pace down in turn number 1. No, it's the 6 car back out on the race car track. Ruben Garcia Jr. got turned around over between turns 1 and 2. And that race car back out on the speedway, the Max Siegel-owned machine. That is a Toyota for Ruben Garcia Jr. back out on the racetrack in car number 6.
And the leader's just ready to drive around. Garcia's number 6. It will come upon the 55 of Juan Manuel Gonzalez, who is already a lap down on the field. They'll have to negotiate their way around him, as again that lead shrinking ever so slightly, under a half a second now for Brandon McReynolds over Derek Kraus.
And if you're wondering why Garcia would come back out on the racetrack in that 6 car, he is 4th in points. He is 95 points out of the lead, but he is only 10 points ahead of Anthony Alfredo for 5th. So he wants to get every point he can, hoping that other cars run into trouble and fall out of this race, and he can pick up a couple of spots and a couple of valuable points here in this NASCAR K&N East Series Championship fight.
So as we run down the field for you, coming up to complete 59 laps this next time, Brandon Reynolds is the leader. Derek Kraus is 2nd. Tyler Dipple running in the 3rd spot. The 40 of Anthony Alfredo is 4th. Spencer Davis in the 82 is 5th. Riley Herbst is 6th. Chase Cabre is 7th. Dylan Bassett is 8th. Sam Meyer is 9th, and Colin Garrett round out the top 10 as we get closer to the halfway mark in the Apple Barrel 125 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Here again is Mick Reynolds across the granite stripe with Derek Kraus right behind him down into turn 1. Kraus now making it interesting and applying some heat off of turn 2. About to get into a pretty good battle for the lead as again we approach the halfway mark.
Things getting interesting at the front of the field. Not only are they racing for the top spot, but you got a fuel mileage concern. We heard Joe Koss tell us that Brandon McReynolds, certainly that team is concerned about fuel. Got to think that Derek Kraus would be in the same position. So these guys racing hard like this may not be what their crew chiefs want to see. McReynolds there continues to show the way. Kraus had pulled right up in the back bumper, actually took a peek to the inside down into turn number 3. Not able to do anything with it. Now Kraus going to try to close up once again.
Pretty good battle a little further back in the pack. We're talking just at the top, inside the top 10, actually 10th and 11th spot. We've got Colin Garrett in the 18 and Ryan Vargas in the number 2. Vargas takes a peek to the inside out of turn 4, but won't make the pass this time. Right behind them is Ronnie Bassett Jr. So 3 cars all battling to get inside the top 10. Cross flags are up, and we'll be officially halfway through the Apple Barrel 125 as the leaders cross the stripe. Halfway through, and still yet another competition caution to come their way, unless of course we go under caution for debris or a mishap on the track. But drivers now have half the distance to go, and again that battle for the lead still just under a half a second as they come around to complete lap number 64 of the Apple Barrel 125.
Tyler Dipple there in third. What the heck he's got to do? He's got the fresher tires and just can't get up to battle with front 2. He's got to wonder what sort of adjustments he can make to that car. Get up there. Same with Anthony Alfredo in that 40 car doing a nice job. Just can't quite get up there and race with the front 2. And Spencer Davis in the Danny Watt zone, number 82, riding along there. And that team got to be discussing adjustments as well. Riley Herbst in the 6th spot doing a nice job as he swings around the Garcia machine. That car is a lap down. And Chase Cabri in 7th in the Honda Generators machine. That car a very different looking paint scheme, as they have the numbers on the rear quarter panels behind the rear tires. That is allowed here in the K&N E-Series, and there were a number of competitors that did it for a while, and it sort of faded away as that 4 car, the only one doing it here today.
Continue to watch that battle just for the 10th spot between Colin Garrett and Ryan Vargas. Vargas had gotten up on the back bumper of the 18 in an attempt to pass, but couldn't make it happen. They are all closing in on Sam Mayer, who's in 9th. Mayer in the 12, and just ahead of him, Dylan Bassett in the 44. So won't be long before the 4 of those cars are together and really wage battle for just inside the top 10. They're headed out of turn 2 now.
Mayer looks like he's a little quicker than Bassett. Just can't find a way around. Now he's going to peek to the inside. Getting down into turn number 3. That's not going to work. Bassett able to drive deeper into turn number 3. But look for Mayer to battle back as they make their way onto the front straightaway.
Mayer right there, but he's got Colin Garrett closing in on him pretty quickly. And Garrett's taking Vargas with him. Vargas right up on the back bumper. So those 4 cars, again, we're talking about 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th racing down the backstretch.
Ryan Vargas racing very hard in that 2 car. You see him in the middle of the corners towards the exit, out onto the straightaway. That car stepping out sideways on him as he is pushing it very hard as he tries to find a way around that 44 of Colin Garrett in front of him.
Yeah, and Mayer has lost a little ground on the car in front of him, Dylan Bassett. Bassett has gained a little bit of breathing room. but Garrett's the one closing on Mayer, and Vargas right behind him. That's the best race on the track right now as they head down the backstretch into turn 3.
Back out in front, though. Derek Kraus has gotten around Brandon McReynolds, and Kraus is gone. Kraus is absolutely checking out as he is running away from Brandon McReynolds. The question is McReynolds saving fuel? Is he lifting off the throttle early? Is he not getting into it as hard up off the corners? Or is Derek Kraus just that much better at this point in the race here with about 10 to go to that next competition caution?
Yeah, missed that pass as we have two great battles going on the racetrack further on back, the ones that we've been describing between Bassett and Mayer and Vargas and Colin Garrett. Vargas got around him to pick up the spot, and Garrett gets right back up on the back bumper as they race down into turn number 1. Here's Sam Mayer again trying to reel in the 44 of Dylan Bassett. Vargas on the move. He got around Garrett. Now he's going after Sam Mayer in the number 12. Again, that battle just inside the top 10. And going back from the leaders. Also a pretty good battle between the 40 and the 54. Anthony Alfredo able to get around Tyler Dipple in the 54 and pick up a spot. Alfredo has been having a good afternoon.
Sam Mayer to the inside on Dylan Bassett now. That 8th through 12th place battle has really heated up. It's really good stuff. These youngsters duking it out. Sam Mayer, one of the youngest race car drivers on the track, picks up the spot now on Dylan Bassett. Bassett going to move back to the outside, trying to work his way back around young Mayer as they go side by side off turn number 2 now. Right behind them, Ryan Vargas looking for some place to go. Colin Garrett gets wide. Garrett might have gotten into the backstretch wall just a little bit as he got way out wide. He's going to lose a spot now to the other Bassett brother. That's Ronnie Bassett in that 0-4. Garrett now battling back on the outside, has recovered with that possible brush with the outside wall over on the back straightaway. Moves down, tries to block the progress of Bassett. Can't get that done. As now Mayer goes back to work on Dylan Bassett in the blue number 44.
Yeah, great battle back there from 8th on back as Garrett's trying to get his spot back from Ronnie Bassett. Meanwhile, up front, our leader and pole sitter, the number 1 of Derek Kraus, continues to open it up. McReynolds by himself in 2nd. Alfredo closing a little bit on McReynolds. Alfredo's been on a tear since we got past the halfway mark. He was able to pass Tyler Dipple and now set sail to go after McReynolds, who runs in 2nd. As they continue to clip the laps off, we've got 75 of 125 complete, bearing down on our next competition caution.
Another thing we need to look at here, point leader Tyler Ankrum, the 17 car, was one of the cars that pinned at the last competition caution. Has done absolutely nothing since then. He rides in the 13th position. He's a good ways off of that really good battle for 8 through 12, just kind of cruising along. The question is, did he get a bad tire? Did they make a bad adjustment? Or is he just riding, saving his stuff for the end of the race, knowing that he doesn't have to pit at the next caution? So, not sure what Tyler Ankrum's up to back there, but that 17 car is either playing some strategy or is off the pace.
Well, I'd vote for strategy. Of course, he'd like to keep it safe so he could pick up that championship. But at the same time, he knows he'd like to save what he did on that first competition caution because he's going to have some of the other guys coming to pit road when the next caution comes out. Meanwhile, on the backstretch, a change of position. Sam Mayer has gotten around the 44 of Dylan Bassett and picked up a spot. It starts to drive away from him. Bassett now being hounded by Ryan Vargas in the number 2, and right behind him, Ronnie Bassett in the 04. So that's a pretty good battle. Again, those guys have been going at it for quite a few laps.
Brandon McReynolds now falls into the clutches of Anthony Alfredo. Alfredo is there for the 2nd spot. works his way up on the back bumper. We talk about Tyler Ankrum. If he is going to play that strategy, this is going to be a bold move. Brandon McReynolds' team was concerned about going 80 laps. For this strategy to work for Ankrum, he would have to go 85 laps. So if that's what that team is doing, this is a bold strategy play, and we'll see if it pays off for the points leader. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, Derek Kraus has absolutely run away and hit. He is all by himself out on the racetrack. Brandon McReynolds in second, feeling the heat from Anthony Alfredo as we work our way towards that second competition caution.
Again, that battle back there just inside the top 10, 2 by 2, 2 rows back. Vargas on the outside of the Bassett, number 44, picks up the spot. Then right behind is Colin Garrett in the 18 and Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 04. Good battle. Sam Mayer got by those guys and has run away and hid in the number 12. Vargas able to make the pass. He's got a little bit of breathing room in the 2. Bassett in the 44. And then the 18 of Garrett and Ronnie Bassett in the 04 now dicing it out for position again. That's all back just around 10th, 9th, 10th, and 11th spot.
You see the pit crew starting to set up as the caution comes out. Caution flag is in the air. This is competition caution number 2. You see a number of tires up on the wall. Teams are getting ready to go. So we'll see what the strategy is here at this second of competition cautions for K&N Pro Series East.
Well, when we re-rack them, it's like a brand new race, if you will, and a sprint to the finish. We'll see if the dominant cars can stay that way after this caution. 81 of the 125 complete. So we'll have just a short distance to go to the checkered flag of the Apple Barrel 125. Of course, the culmination of our big full throttle weekend here at New Hampshire is the running of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour Musket 250. That historic event comes up next, immediately following the Victory Lane ceremonies of this K&N Pro Series feature. All right, on the pit road, as the green has come out and allowed them to come on, Derek Kraus right there in the number 1 pulls into his spot, as does Brandon McReynolds. Anthony Alfredo, the 12 of Sam Mayer, Spencer Davis in the 82, Tyler Dipple in the 54. Again, these competition caution rules apply where everybody's got to get in and settled in their spot. They'll get the word from NASCAR to go ahead and perform their service.
One car stays on the racetrack. One lonely little race car out pulling onto the back straightaway. Riley Herbst's going to try to go 85 laps without fuel as the teams go to work on their race cars.
Yeah, and we'll throw it down to Joe Koss to find out exactly what is going on for some of these guys while they're on pit road.
Well, Pete, it seems as though there's a lot of adjustments taking place on all these machines. Of course, you were talking about the fuel mileage situation. Many of the teams taking fuel. You see a lot of adjustments going into the back of the 82 car. For Spencer Davis, a couple of rounds of wedge into the back of that automobile to help the handling there. We've got the Derek Kraus machine. No adjustments there. Fuel and tires for the number 1 car, the current race leaders. These guys are putting on all sticker tires on this automobile, so that way they know they've got enough equipment to be able to go the entire distance. Also on pit lane, the 54 car of Tyler Dipple, and now the Ankrum car directly in front of them, the 17 and the championship point leader. They've got the left side of that car jacked up as they try to crawl underneath it. They've got jack stands up, and they are actually looking at the rear end of that automobile, twisting that left rear tire back and forth, left and right, and looking at the drive line. So that might explain why that car was running outside the top 10 after dominating the race that we had here in July, leading all 70 laps and trying to capture the championship here with just 2 races left to go. Some work already completed on some of the teams. They'll finish things up and get ready to send them back out onto the racetrack to finish today's Apple Barrel 125.
All right, thank you very much, Joe. As the teams continue to work on their cars, keep in mind this is not a race off pit road. Everybody will line up on the back straightaway the way that they come off pit road, but all of them will be behind Riley Herbst. It's going to be interesting to watch Herbst to see if he can go 85 laps without a drink of fuel in that race car, and we'll find that out coming up here very shortly. Coming up next, the Musket 250 for the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series. And K&N now brings you their premium-grade wrench-off oil filter, offering thicker canisters, higher burst strength, a low restriction design, and the convenience of a 1-inch nut on the bottom of the can for easier installation and removal. This high-flow oil filter protects some of the most expensive race engines in the world. Shouldn't it be protecting yours? K&N wrench-off oil filters are available at most automotive retailers. Find out more online at knnoilfilters.com. And don't forget, coming up after this race, the post-race party from 7 to 11. Live music by the Rory Scott Band. They'll be playing from 7 to 10. The beer garden will be open. Lawn games, carnival rides, kids' activities, and much more. All going on after the race with the in the fan zone with the fan pit party.
Well, and it's also an opportunity for you to get inside the racetrack, which is pretty exciting. A view not normally seen here during a race weekend, where you can actually go into the infield, and then you kind of get the feel for the enormity of this racetrack. When you look back, pick out the seat that you were sitting in for the race and view it from the infield, besides all the activities that go on. And you can see some race cars down there and play some games and eat some food and drink some beer, but at the same time you get a view of the racetrack that is not normally seen by the normal fan by being in the infield. That'll be at the post-race party after the conclusion of our victory lanes. Let's get a little information on that Riley Herbst machine. Here's Joe.
Yeah, the idea for them was to stay out on track and gain that track position over the last 40-lap run. Since they took fuel after that first competition caution, they were saving fuel. Even though they were running inside the top 5, they were trying to be very, very cautious. They thought this would be the opportunity for them to gain some track position, knowing how fast the one car of Derek Kraus is. But I talked to Kevin Mannion, who's a former Cup crew chief, who's calling the shots atop the pit box for the number 98. And he said, this is Loudon, and if you want to win, you got to be bold. So he's going to try to gamble their way to see if they can make it the entire way and go to the checkered flag here and win this historic event at Loudon.
All right, thank you very much, Joe. As the cars pull back out onto the back straightaway, they will reline the way they came off of the racetrack, except for Riley Herbst. Herbst, as Joe told you, a little bit of a fuel gamble there. Kevin Bono Mannion, former Cup crew chief, Xfinity crew chief, long career in NASCAR, very, very successful with a number of great drivers. Mannion calling the shots for that number 98 for the DGR Crosley Racing Team, that team owned by Bo Lamastus and David Gilliland, former Cup Series driver. His son Todd now driving in the Camping World Truck Series. And that team with 4 entries here this weekend, including Riley Herbst in that 98 car.
And again, our big historic race of the Musket 250 for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour coming up immediately following victory lane ceremonies for this one. And all eyes on the guy that's having the dream season, Justin Bonsignor, in that big race today. And Joe Koss is with him.
Yeah, that's Justin Bonsignor having an outstanding season, 7 wins, including the All-Star Shootout here in July. Justin, you led both practices yesterday and you qualified second, so you've got a good track position. How are you going to approach this Musket 250 today?
Obviously, it's a long race. We're going to just bide our time in the beginning, try and just keep that track position. And, you know, we'll need fuel in the first segment before the lap 100 break. We'll try and minimize any track position loss as much as possible and hold on with the original set of tires all the way to the break. And from there, we'll again bide our time because it's a long way to go still with 150, and we got another fuel stop in that second segment that we'll need. Nobody really knows what the right strategy will be. This is obviously the first time we're going this distance, but should be exciting. And I think once we get these modifieds out there, these fans will get back excited and ready to go and enjoy some good open wheel action.
We were talking to Chase Dowling just a little while ago under the last competition caution, and he said, you know, I'm not really sure that we have a plan mapped out for this race. I just want to let it come to me, and I want to see what the race hands me. But it sounds like you have it mapped out. You talked about the 2 segments of the race, what you want to do for lap 100, and then what you want to do in that final 150 lap. How critical is it for you to stick to the game plan throughout this race today?
Well, you know, we'll have a game plan A, and, you know, if something happens where the cautions fall at a weird time or something happens to our race where we lose the track position, we'll adjust. But, you know, we definitely have talked all week of what the ideal plan will be. But, you know, in racing, it could go out the window on the start. So we'll probably have a few plan changes during the race, but, you know, hopefully we can stick to plan A and put on a good show.
All right, that's Justin Bonsignore in just a handful of laps here in this K&N race. He's going to go ahead and climb behind the wheel of car number 51 on the outside of the front row. And one of the favorites to win not only the championship this year, but also today's Musket 250. And guys, if things do go right for this team and Chase Dowling, the second man in points, has some trouble, we could crown the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion today with still 2 races left to go. That's how good of a season Justin Bonsignore's had.
Well, it's been a while since we've been able to crown the champion before it gets to any of the last couple events. They've still got Stafford and Thompson to go on their schedule, and normally got to get all the way to the World Series at Thompson Speedway Motorsport Park before we know who the champion is, and that's just a reflection on the season that Justin Bonsignore has had. All right, we're back under green flag for our restart as the green comes quickly out on the field and down into turn 1. We've got a side-by-side battle for the lead.
Riley Herbst able to get out in front, but here comes Brandon McReynolds. McReynolds in the 74, the orange and black IGA machine, powers his way around off turn number 2 and into the lead. McReynolds by a couple of car lengths into turn number 3, now off turn number 4. He will lead the way back to the stripe here after the competition caution number 2.
Yeah, back to the front goes Brandon McReynolds. Riley Herbst hoping to hold on to that second spot in the number 18, and some 3-wide action further back in the pack. Oh, in trouble.
Ryan Vargas up the hill, gets turned around, comes to a stop. I believe that was off the front bumper. It was either Ronnie Bassett or Tyler Ankrum. It was a white race car, and Ryan Vargas is going to get refired and continue in that 2 car, but he is going to lose a lot of ground. A guy that was battling for a top 5 position, he is going to lose a lot of ground as now he gets fired up and will continue, but tough break for the driver of the number 2.
Yeah, he may have thought possibly that the caution was going to come out there, but they were able to get him righted and going in the right way, and we stay under green flag racing as we got a good battle going down into turn number 3. Tyler Dipple and our pole sitter, Derek Kraus.
That's the battle for third as Dipple takes that spot away. Kraus in the Napa car trying to get back up into the battle for the lead, but right now mired in 4th with Anthony Alfredo right behind him in 5th. Spencer Davis in 6th. Sam Mayer in 7th. Chase Cobry in 8th in the 4 car. 9th is Dylan Bassett, and 10th is Ronnie Bassett. And Ankrum, the points leader, continues to run in 11th. Not good for the points leader coming in. Now goes to work on Bassett, works to the inside. He'll try to pick that spot up off turn number 2.
Yeah, they are nose to tail down into turn 1, and so is that battle a little further up towards the front. Derek Kraus in the number 1. Working over Dipple for that position, and while the door is open, Anthony Alfredo will give it a shot in the number 40. Down underneath will take the spot away, and Dipple trying to come right back. The crossover move once they get into turn 3. Oh, and they bounce off of each other in the middle of the turn, and Dipple takes it back. Meanwhile, Alfredo had to get out of the throttle, and that allowed Spencer Davis to pass by, and now Alfredo trying to hold off Sam Mayer, who's down on the inside in the number 12. Great battle right there.
Tyler Dipple with an opportunity to cut into the points lead of his teammate Tyler Ankrum as Dipple is trying to close up and give himself a shot as they wind down their season. But out in front, Brandon McReynolds is gone, as he has done the last couple of segments, gets out to a big lead. The question is, will that car stay under him the entire 45 laps and give him the opportunity to go to victory lane?
Well, obviously Derek Kraus is trying to cut into it from the 3rd place. He's still got to catch the 98 of Riley Herbst, who's well out in front of him. But now Kraus is all by himself. Dipple has cleared that battle that was between the 40 and the 12 just a few laps ago. So now Dipple by himself in the 4th spot. Spencer Davis is running 5th. Sam Mayer just getting passed by the 44. or rather the 44 of Bassett, then Mayer in the 12, and Cabre follows them in the number 4. Go time for these guys. We get about the length of a good old Saturday night short track shootout here left to this one. 92. It'll be 93 of 125 complete next time they come across the stripe. And if you're going to advance any positions, you got to go do it now, because the laps are winding down in the Apple Barrel 125.
Well, we got a second. Need to thank all the folks tuning in on Fans Choice TV. Thank you to them for tuning in and giving us a watch on the old interweb here this afternoon. We do appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the show. And along with all the folks here in the grandstands, an absolutely beautiful day for the Apple 125, as well as the Pinty's race and the Musket 250 coming up next as the anticipation grows for an historic event here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Series. As Tyler Ankrum trying to pick up spots at the back of the field as he tries to protect that point leader. His teammate Tyler Dipple set to gain some points here this afternoon.
Watching the number 1 of Derek Kraus starting to cut into that advantage that Riley Herbst has over him for the second spot. Kraus on the move is just cutting around the lap car of Vargas and gives chase to the 98. Then you go back several lengths to Dipple in the 54, and a pretty good battle behind them between the 82 of Davis and the 40 of Anthony Alfredo.
The gap right now between McReynolds and Herbst is 2.25 seconds, and that gap continues to grow just a little bit. The gap between Herbst and Derek Kraus continues to shrink, however, as Kraus's car is coming alive. And then it's Tyler Dipple in 4th, Spencer Davis in 5th.
And Davis is under attack from Anthony Alfredo in that number 40. He's right up on the back bumper, and behind them is the 44 of Dylan Bassett. So that's a pretty good battle going on for the top 5. As right now Davis is 5th.
Tyler Ankrum continues to work on Ronnie Bassett Jr. Ankrum in that black and red white number 17. Bassett in the 04, the white machine. Ankrum will pick up the position. Now slides up the Cot Hill. Ankrum's car just not driving it the way he needs to. That David Gilliland-owned team struggling here this afternoon, but not so his teammate Tyler Dipple. Also Riley Herbst runs in 2nd spot. That is a 3rd car out of the DGR Crosley stables. But it's all Visconti Motorsports, the 74, the IGA machine of Brandon McReynolds right now, as we work our way towards 25 to go. Lap 98 goes up on the board as McReynolds makes his way down the back straightaway. Clean and green, the son of the great crew chief and now Fox commentator Larry McReynolds. Picked up this ride this spring. He's helped maintain the car as he goes to put lap 99 on the board at the Granite Stripe.
And things have settled down for the moment. As you say, with 99 complete, McReynolds with a healthy 1.9 second lead over Herbst. Herbst, however, is going to feel the heat from Derek Kraus, our pole sitter, who's starting to reel him in on the backstretch. Now just about 4 car lengths between 2nd and 3rd as they race through the 3rd and 4th turn.
Brandon McReynolds puts lap 100 on the board. 25 to go. The battle for second continues to heat up. Kraus is there. Kraus within a car length down the back straightaway. Tyler Dipple a long way back with Love to join that fight. And the lead is shrinking as well. McReynolds is backing up to Riley Herbst and Derek Kraus. 1.8 seconds the lead for McReynolds. Is he saving his stuff or is the car fading? Riley Herbst in second, continues to hold off Derek Kraus. Right now, Riley Herbst is Brandon McReynolds' best friend, as he is holding off Derek Kraus. If that one car can get around Herbst, I gotta think he's going to be able to get to McReynolds in a hurry as the laps wind down. Right now, Brandon McReynolds just begging for Herbst to hold off Kraus.
Well, McReynolds has clean and green racetrack in front of him. I mean, no lap traffic to be concerned about. The 98 and the number 1 just dispatched of Juan Manuel Gonzalez, who's gone 3 laps down on the field. And we see that Kraus now taking a look underneath Herbst, but not making the pass as they come down the front stretch. Here they are off of turn 2. Again, the lead itself has grown. McReynolds is now over 2 seconds ahead of Herbst, but Herbst has got a mirror full of Derek Kraus down into turn 3.
Tyler Dipple had been cutting into the gap. Oh, Kraus got all crossed up down in turns 3 and 4, gathered it up, but lost a couple of car lengths. Tyler Dipple had cut into that gap, went to work his way around the 55 car, who was 3 laps down. And Dipple lost a bunch of time to those 2 in front of him. It just does not look like he's going to be able to get up and join that fight. Brandon McReynolds trying to maintain the lead right now. Riley Herbst in second. Third is Derek Kraus. Fourth is Tyler Dipple and Spencer Davis, the back half of the top 5.
20 laps to go as they cross the stripe. And again, that battle, Kraus lost a little bit of ground on Herbst a couple of laps ago, and he's trying to make it up, get back up on the bumper of the 98 in hopes of at least getting to second spot. But McReynolds has opened that lead up to 2.5 seconds over the 98 and continues to cruise around here, hoping that we don't see a caution before we get to the end, because that would close everything up. He'd like to maintain that big lead that he's got with completing 106 laps off of the 125.
Watching here on the Fans Choice TV feed, and you can really see the difference in the lines between Herbst and Kraus. Herbst is running a full car width up the racetrack. Kraus right around the bottom of the racetrack. But it is just not working. Kraus just cannot get there. He cannot make the move. Get right up on the back bumper of Herbst, just not able to get the drive off to complete the pass. Riley Herbst doing an outstanding job holding off Derek Kraus. Kraus gets crossed up once again in 3 and 4, really driving that car for all he is worth, as he knows he's got to go now. His crew telling him he's got to go now. Kraus able to get around. Kraus is to second, but does he have time? Inside 20 to go. Does Derek Kraus have time to get to the back of Brandon McReynolds, or can McReynolds hold on to the lead? This could get really interesting over the next 18 laps.
He's got some real estate to cover if he's going to do it, as McReynolds streaks across the granite stripe here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And at least with that lap, he's able to maintain that almost a 3-second lead. And that's a lot of real estate to cover for the number 1 in order to catch him. As McReynolds again clipping off some fast laps. He'll have 109 laps complete of the 125 right now. And unfortunately, I think that Derek Kraus, as far as the battle for the lead goes, would have liked to have made that pass on Herbst a little earlier and give him some more time to try and catch the leader. But again, the leader just under 3 seconds ahead.
And last time by, Derek Kraus was quicker than Brandon McReynolds. The problem is it's only by about 3/100ths of a second. He's going to need a lot of laps to gain at that rate, so Derek Kraus is going to have to find something in that one car. He's really going to have to go to the whip, as we're 15 to go now.
McReynolds leads it. Kraus is second. Herbst is third. He did not stop under that last competition caution. Tyler Dipple is fourth. Spencer Davis is fifth. And rounding out the top 10, Anthony Alfredo, Dylan Bassett, Sam Mayer, Chase Cabre, and Colin Garrett. The top 10 with now just a handful of laps to go.
That time by Derek Kraus, 0.3 of a second quicker. Kraus with a really, really good lap at lap 110. The question is it too little, too late? 0.3 of a second quicker. 2.2 seconds the gap as Kraus is coming. But number one, can he get there? And number two, if he can get there, can he get around? As Brandon McReynolds, a bit of a veteran, he's been around these style cars for a number of years. He's been around racing his entire life, as he's the son of Larry McReynolds. But will all that experience be enough to hold off Derek Kraus? I'm sure his team is giving him the gaps and giving him the times as they make their way into turn number 3. That time by, again, Kraus, 1.5 quicker than Brandon McReynolds. Kraus is coming. He's cut into the lap. We'll check the times this time by 2.1 seconds, now down to 1.8 seconds as Kraus was 0.3 of a second quicker that time by as we work our way towards 10 laps to go.
Leader down into turn 3. He's got some lap traffic up ahead to negotiate here as he works his way out of turn 4. Meanwhile, the rest of the field pretty well spread out all the way back through at least the top 15 as leader off the second turn again encounters that lap traffic down the back stretch, quickly down underneath the 25 and puts him down another lap, even though the lead gap has shrunk ever so slightly. So has the length of time left. We've only got 10 laps to go in the Apple Barrel 125.
The two teams fighting for the lead could not be more different. That Visconti Motorsports number 74 team, veterans of modified wars on Long Island and throughout New England, with Brandon McReynolds at the wheel. They do everything on their own. They're a single car operation. That one car, part of the DGR Crosley stables, a 4-car armada here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Tyler Dipple, Riley Herbst, Derek Kraus, all part of that team here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Those two teams could not be any more different. Lots of Toyota factory support for that DGR Crosley team as they make their way off turn number 2. They'll come to 8 laps to go, and the lead, as it clicks up on the screen here, less than a second, down to 0.8 of a second. Brandon McReynolds knows that Derek Kraus is coming, knows he is about to have a fight on his hands. Does he have anything left in that 74 car to hold off the youngster from the West Coast, the driver in the Bill McAnally stable? Can Brandon McReynolds hold him off for another 7 laps?
Well, it doesn't seem like a long time, but to those guys, yes. Not an easy task by any means, as he shaved 0.3 off the lead just in that last lap. And I think at this point we got to say Derek Kraus is there.
Absolutely no question about it as they come to 6 laps to go. We're going to have a battle for the win of this race, ladies and gentlemen. The Apple Barrel 125 is going to come down to 2 drivers. Car number 74, Brandon McReynolds. Car number 1, Derek Kraus. Those two are going to settle this amongst themselves within 2 car lengths as they head for turn number 3.
Working their way through the 3rd and 4th turn. Our starter has the 5 fingers in the air, indicating that we've just got 5 to go. And now Kraus up on the back bumper of McReynolds as they streak across the stripe. a battle shaping up here as Kraus looks to the bottom and actually makes it look easy. Drives to the bottom and drives right by Brandon McReynolds. You've got to give it to Derek Kraus, who covered all that distance to not only catch him, but make an easy pass out of turn 2. Kraus makes the pass and will get back to the lead with only 4 laps to go.
Outstanding job for that team and that young man, as he has driven to the lead, now driving away from his closest competition all day long. Derek Kraus, if he can stay mistake-free, is going to win the Apple Barrel 125. Brandon McReynolds would love to do something with him, but it's just not going to happen here today, as Kraus continues to stretch the lead out in that one car. Riley Herbst, an outstanding run, a fuel gamble, looks to have paid off as he runs in third. The 54 of Tyler Dipple. A nice run for that young man. Oh, Dipple! And caution is going to be on the racetrack as Dipple gets into the back of the lap down car. I believe that was the 55. Believe that was the 55 of Juan Manuel Gonzalez, and with 3 to go, caution comes out. And could this change the entire complexion of this race? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it ain't over till it's over. 122 of 125 complete, but we'll go under caution and re-rack them for a restart. Amazing.
Absolutely got to think this is not what Riley Herbst and that DJR Crosley team wanted to see. The terrible Herbst team, they are the only team that did not come in with 45 to go on that last competition caution. We're asking that car to go 85 laps. Some teams didn't know if they could go 80. They were asking that team to go 85 laps. And now the caution comes out, and it's going to extend it. So, correction on my part, it's the 25, not the 55, but the 25 of Thomas Ferrando, a late entry to the race. In that 25 car gets turned around, so tough break for Thomas Ferrando in the 25.
Well, let's see if Derek Kraus can go all the way. Joe Costa standing by with his crew chief.
Kyle Moon, he's calling the shots today for Derek Kraus. Just took over the race lead, a handful of laps to go away from Brandon McReynolds. But, Kyle, we've watched the strength of Brandon McReynolds on the restarts today. Do you think you've got a car that's going to be good for the short run to the finish?
There you go. We definitely didn't need that there, but you got what you got now. And the kid's a good little wheelman. I think he's got it. We'll see here in just a little bit.
What are you most concerned about here in the final lap or so?
Contact. That's about the only thing. And Brandon races really clean, so I don't think we'll have an issue with that, but as long as he gets through the gears good, I think we'll be pretty good.
It's a big racetrack, but certainly it is a short track by NASCAR standards, and Kyle Moon calling the shots today. He's got David Gilliland, the car owner, right alongside, monitoring the radios of all 4 of his teams that he has in competition here today. But if you look back over the history of this race, guys, the past couple of restarts, Brandon McReynolds has been a rocket ship, and that's one of the keys to winning here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, how aggressive you can get down into turn number 1, and this final shootout to the finish, he's going to need all of that if he's going to beat Derek Kraus today.
Could not have predicted this for sure, as we get the field lined up with the proper running order before we send them back to the restart. It's going to be very interesting. 2 laps to go on the board, and the track is still being cleared up there in the 4th turn. Safety crews are there to attend to Ferrando's number 25 and the driver himself, so we'll remain under caution for a while here. And you know, anything can happen here. This is where you throw the block. This is where you use the bumper when things are just so close and getting into just a couple of laps to go. Everybody fighting for position. Going to make for an interesting restart. Once again, the K&N Pro Series do not disappoint here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, unfortunate deal there right at the end of this race. As now it's, believe the driver is out of the race car. Can't tell from our vantage point, but yeah, driver is out of the race car. So good news there. Ferrando is out of the race car as they get ready to tow that car back to the garage area. He was a couple of laps down, and Tyler Dipple trying to get around him, just could not do it. And it looked like Ferrando made a kind of an aggressive move to the bottom of the racetrack to kind of get out of the way, and came across the bumper of Dipple. So tough break there here in the late going. That fourth DGR Crosley entry, car number 17, Tyler Ankrum, the points leader, has had not a good night, evidently a problem on the rear end. Joe Koss said during that second competition caution that the team was up underneath that race car, trying to figure out what might be going on with the rear end of that machine. So tough break there for Ankrum, and the points battle will close up as they wind down their season here in 2018.
Quick work up there at turn 4. We'll get ready to turn them loose, hopefully on the next lap around. Let's go back to Joe.
Yeah, I've caught up with John Visconti, the 30. He's a car owner for Brandon McReynolds. You have been so strong on restarts today. Do you think Brandon can pull another one out of the hat today?
Well, if anyone can, Brandon McReynolds absolutely can. We got Larry McReynolds up in the spotter's box for us, and we got Bruce Cook down here as a crew chief. Between that trifecta, we should be okay. Racing is racing, and we pray for the best. And in the meantime, I think we're going to give it a heck of a run towards the last 3 laps right now.
It should be fun. That's the car owner for Brandon McReynolds, the Visconti Motorsports team. So good throughout the day today. Remember, an independent team going up against some of the powerhouses in the K&N Pro Series East, trying to steal one away here in the Apple Barrel 125.
Good catch on an interview there for Joe down on pit road, as you can hear the confidence in that car owner for sure, but no doubt nerves play into it as well, as safety crew just exiting the speedway, but the lights remain off the pace car as we get ready for the restart. Toyota pace car peels off onto pit road. It's Derek Kraus and Brandon McReynolds side by side looking for the green flag. They're into the restart zone, and the green flag is in the air. And Kraus gets a shot from Dipple. He's able to keep it under control going down into turn 1, but advantage McReynolds.
Yeah, McReynolds quickly out in front. Derek Kraus could not get the power to the ground. Spun the tires 2, maybe 3 times off of turn number 4. And check out Brandon McReynolds in the Visconti Motorsports number 74. He'll see the white flag when he gets back to the stripe. Can he stay out in front?
Got a comfortable lead here as he comes to the white, but Kraus going as hard as he can to try and reel him in. But that little mishap at the green flag probably caused Kraus this race, because he just got sideways and had to get off the throttle. By the time he gathered it back up, McReynolds was gone.
And he lost a little bit of time down in 1 and 2, drove it into 1 a ton, could not get the power back down. McReynolds able to squirt away just a little bit off turn number 4. One final time to the checkered flag and the granite stripe, Brandon McReynolds.
And McReynolds goes across the stripe to win the Apple Barrel 125. Derek Kraus will be second. Spencer Davis will be third, and it is tight from about the 4th spot on back. 4th goes to Riley Hertz, 5th to Dylan Bassett, 6th to Anthony Alfredo, 7th to Colin Garrett, 8th to Chase Cabre, 9th to Ronnie Bassett Jr., and Sam Mayer rounds out the top 10. But Brandon McReynolds, who watched his lead go away within just a couple of minutes of the finish, benefits from a late race caution, and on that restart just got away to win the Apple Barrel 125 here at New Hampshire.
And some post-race activity. Tyler Ankrum around, didn't see who it was, but somebody turned around over there in turn number 2, I believe, and Ronnie Bassett Jr. and Sam Mayer coming to the checkered flag were leaning on each other a ton, beating and banging, bouncing off the wall. So a wild finish, and Brandon McReynolds effectively steals one here at the end.
And here he is right down on the front stretch in the IGA number 74. Happy to have gotten that lead back on the late race caution. He will pick up the checkered flag from the starter. And make his way down to victory lane, where we'll hear his account of the final stages of the Apple Barrel 125. And already the NASCAR Whelen Modifieds, making their way out onto the racetrack, onto pit road. They are staging for the running of the Musket 250. And there goes Brandon McReynolds in the number 74. Making his way down in front. You can give him a wave and a round of applause as he makes his way down on the racetrack. Picks up an impressive win here today. He was strong all day, but so was Derek Kraus, who sat on the pole for this. He was also our pole sitter back in July. But that late race caution changed everything. And then on the restart, he got a shot from Tyler Dipple right behind him, and that kind of caused him to spin the tires and get a little loose, had to get out of the throttle to regather it, and by then McReynolds was gone.
It sort of looked like Riley Herbst was going to try to make it 3 wide. Not sure if he thought better of it or just didn't have enough for it, but looked like Riley Herbst was going to try to make it 3 wide. That did not happen. McReynolds able to get back to the bottom of the racetrack and hold off Derek Kraus in what turned out to be an extremely exciting finish. Looked like it was going to be kind of a snoozer there at the end. Kraus got by and was absolutely driving away. Clearly had the fastest car on the racetrack, but when the tires cooled down and it was restart time, it was Brandon McReynolds able to get up through the gears better and take advantage and take the win.
And how many times have we seen that happen when a late race caution changes the makeup of everything? And that was the case here as Brandon McReynolds picks up the win.
Yeah, no caution about it. Late race cautions will get you every time, and Derek Kraus is going to be lamenting that one. Tough deal there, especially seeing how it involved a lap-down machine, but not his fault. He and Tyler Dipple just kind of got together, and that was that.
Well, Kraus finishes second. Spencer Davis was third. Riley Herbst in the fourth spot. Dylan Bassett in the 44 was fifth. Anthony Alfredo had a great afternoon. Is finishing in the sixth spot. Colin Garrett, seventh. Chase Cabre, eighth. Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the 04 finished in the ninth spot.
I believe it was Sam Mayer rounding out the top 10 after a wild, crazy finish between he and Ronnie Bassett.
Yeah, Mayer was 10th. Tristan Van Wergen was 11th. Tyler Dipple finishes in the 12th spot. Tyler Ankrum, 13th. Ryan Vargas, 14th. Juan Manuel Gonzalez, 15th. Thomas Fernando was involved in that accident up in turn 4, finishes in the 16th spot.
Brandon McReynolds doing the TV interviews now. And Scott will jump in and get a word with our race winner here for today. As now Brandon McReynolds climbs out of the car. The confetti flies, the soda flies, the Gatorade flies, and Brandon McReynolds, a very happy winner. Folks, when lives are on the line, trust Whelen with reliable and powerful warning lights, white illumination lighting, sirens, controllers, and high-powered warning systems. Whelen leads the industry with technical innovations. All Whelen products are proven in the harshest environments to make sure everybody goes home at night, on the road, in the air, and around the world. Whelen is trusted to be seen, trusted to be heard, trusted to perform. As up next, the Whelen Modified Series Musket 250. As Brandon McReynolds wraps up the interviews with TV, we'll get Scott in and get a word from him down in Victory Lane.
We are in victory lane. How do you like them apples, New Hampshire? Brandon McReynolds in the beer-soaked number 74 IGA Chevrolet. Brandon McReynolds, get over here and tell us a little bit about that race. For the fans in New Hampshire, that was a hell of an exciting last few laps. You and the number 1 were dueling it out. Tell us about that finish.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Derek was he was hauling ass there at the end, but I just hung on. I didn't have any front tires left, so when he got to me, I felt like my best bet was just to kind of not let him go, but just hope that we got another caution. We did, and luckily Riley got a better restart than any of us, put us 3 wide, and I just had it charged one, and it worked out. So really good job. I'm really impressed with Derek and these guys. They're a lot of fun to race with, and Riley did a hell of a job too on old tires, so that was pretty cool for old sport. But that was a lot of fun. I just can't thank all the fans for coming out. Matt Ghostland, the whole staff here has done a hell of a job putting this event on, and hopefully we can come back and have some fun. But it's on Dover for us, but we're gonna be hurting a little bit in the morning. We're gonna celebrate this one.
You may not have started from the pole, but you were out in front for a lot of this race. What did it take to lead this competitive field?
Really, it was just clean air. I think Derek would tell you the same thing. If whoever was out front, clean air was king, and we see that here a lot. It's kind of a theme. Everyone's cars are so good now in the K&N series. It's kind of like a mini cup field. It's that clean air is very important, and if you can get it, you better hang on to it, because once you get behind one car, your day's kind of done. So luckily we had that restart at the end, and we took advantage of it, and we're definitely going to have a lot of fun tonight.
Congratulations, Brandon. Let's get some hardware for you. We got Matt Laughlin over here. He's the GM of Camping World, here to present the trophy to you. Matt, hand that thing over.
On behalf of Camping World, we want to congratulate you on an amazing victory to you and your team. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.